Today we're going to be focused on problem solving with prisms. Now all that means is that we're going to have some information that's missing, but we're going to be given a volume. So essentially we're just going to work backwards in order to figure out what that missing value is. Okay, so first, step one, write the formula. So volume is equal to capital B base times height. Fill in the information you know with the variables in the formula. We could already see that the base is going to be 8 times 6, okay? But we don't know the height, all right? Another thing we could actually fill in is we do know the volume. The volume is 432. All right, so let's evaluate this. 8 times 6 is equal to 48. So 48 times the specific height is going to give us 432. Let's go ahead and divide by 48 in order to get the h by itself. So now our height is going to be equal to 9. All right, our height is 9 yards. All right, and that's basically it. So write your formula and work backwards. So once again, volume is equal to base times height. We know the volume is 210, and it looks like we have a base. It already gives us the base area. So the base area is 60, so we don't have to multiply or do anything, and then multiplied by the height. So now we're going to divide by 60 and divide by 60. So once we go ahead and divide by 60, we're going to get h is going to be a value of 3.5 inches. Okay, and that's basically it. When you have the formula, just go ahead and plug in and then work backwards. So that's it for square prisms, for rectangular prisms, I should say. So let's go ahead and take a look at some triangles now. So same concept here. We're going to go ahead and write our formula. Volume is equal to our base multiplied by our height. It lets us know that our volume is 750 millimeters cubed, and our base is 100 millimeters squared. So if we multiply that by the height, which is this distance over here, x, then we'll get 750. So let's go ahead and divide by 100 and divide by 100. So our height in this case is going to be equal to 7.5 millimeters. All right, next. Same thing, volume is equal to base multiplied by our height. We know our volume is 153, and we know our base is going to be half of 3 times 6 multiplied by our height. Okay, so all this is our base area, which is the area for a triangle. This is a right triangle, so this has to be the height and this has to be the base. So now let's just go ahead and evaluate the triangle. 3 times 6 is equal to 18. Half of 18 is 9. All right, so 9 is what I got from everything inside of here. So 9 times the height is going to give us 153. So let's just go ahead and divide by 9 and divide by 9. So our height in this case is going to be equal to 17 millimeters. 17 millimeters. That's this distance x right here. All right, let's take a look at our last example. So this last one, you could actually see it in multiple ways. So this is the one we really have to pay attention to. Now, same as usual, anything with pi, I'm going to try to evaluate pi at the very end. All right, so volume is equal to base times height. Our volume, which is 188.4, is going to be equal to our base. Now, remember, this is a circle, so the base is going to be pi r squared multiplied by our height. All right, once again, let me just go ahead and fill it in. R squared, since our diameter is equal to 4, that means our radius, r, is equal to 2. So let me just go ahead and fill that in so you'll know what I'm doing at the next step. So once again, 188.4 is equal to, now 2 squared is 2 times 2, which is 4, and then we have pi times our height. Okay, now I'm just going to go ahead and divide by 4 here and divide by 4. Once I take 188.4 and I divide by 4, I get 47.1 equals pi times the height. Okay? We already know that pi is equal to 3.14. So let's just divide by 3.14, getting a little 3.14. Once we go ahead and divide by 3.14, we're going to figure out that the height is equal to 15 yards. Okay? Now, keep in mind that was a lot there. All I did was I divided each side by 4 and then I divided each side by pi. Now if you wanted to, you could have multiplied 4 by pi and just divided that by 188.4. But I wanted to get smaller numbers before I divided by pi's. So that's why I did that. Okay. Now let's go ahead and take a look at another example, but in this case we're given pi. Volume is equal to capital B base times height. So we have 942 is going to be equal to our base. Our base area is already given to us. It's 25 pi. So it's going to be 25 pi. And then this is going to be multiplied by the height. So now we're going to take 942 and divide by 25. When we take 942 and divide by 25, let me just divide by 25 here, divide by 25 here. We're left with pi times the height. Okay? 942 divided by 25 is going to be equal to 37.68. Alright, now at this point, I just have to divide each side by pi, which is 3.14. So divide by 3.14, divide by 3.14. So our height in this case is going to be equal to 12 millimeters. Alright, so both of these examples are identical. This is just finding the height when you're given everything else. Now, this one is a little bit different because we're given everything else, but we don't know the radius. So we'll solve it the same way though. Volume is equal to base multiplied by the height. So we have 1,570 is equal to our base, which is pi r squared multiplied by our height, which in this case is 5. Okay, so now all I'm going to do, let me just divide by 5 and divide by 5 so I could get rid of that. So 1570 divided by 5 is going to give me a value of 314. Okay, so let me just write that. 314 is going to be equal to pi r squared now. Now, let me just go ahead and divide by pi. Divide by 3.14, divide by 3.14. I'm going to get 100 is equal to r squared. Now, the square root of 100 is just equal to 10. So r is equal to 10. So my radius in this case will be 10. And that's it. So this is by far going to be the hardest example. So if you need help in class, just please let me know.